Welcome back. Thank you for staying with us. We continue apace with the conversation with the panelists. And before we took a short break, of course, we were on you, Shekel Shabir. If you may finish your train of thought.
My train of thought is this. We live in a global village. And just now, my brother talked about the police who are being corrupted from here to Navasha. Mm-hmm. And so there was 25 million in the room of one of the police officers. Firstly, I speak in many places, United Nations, etc. There are two elements of corruption. One is the corruption of survival, and the other is grand corruption. We as Kenyan, we as the organization of APNAC and others are trying to split the two. Corruption and survival can be sorted out. Grand corruption needs to be even brought into the ICC. Mm-hmm. Because what is the problem in this country? We cannot deal with grand corruption. The corruption of survival is something that we can deal with. Mm-hmm. It's not only the police officers. You pay them less. I don't have to say, I've known the police for a long time. Mm-hmm. If you keep blaming the police as corrupt, and when you want to go and see them, yeah? Yes. And their children are also in the same school as yours. And you are telling the child, your father is corrupt, you are this, you are that. Don't you have a psyche? The police officers also have psyche. So the situation when you are now saying, Mishimiwa, you might have bribed the police officer yourself. Or we might have bribed them because we felt it was not necessary. But I am trying to put the point. At the United Nations, UNCAC, I actually made that point. And I made the point even to the Chinese. And I said to the Chinese that why are you bringing corruption to our countries in Africa when you are so strict about corruption in your country? That created a diplomatic problem for me, for us, for Kenyan, until the speaker called me and said, what are you doing? Then when we brought this issue together, the Chinese called us. 22 of us went to China to discuss some of these things. As a result of which, the Chinese came up with the Clean Road Initiative program, of which APNAC and GOPAC are one of the partners. Now what I'm trying to suggest is, even we make a small contribution, don't give up at, everybody is corrupt, there's nothing we can do. Let that little effort, whatever little we have done, let it be seen.
Appreciated.
Because it is going to roll.
Thank you.
But when you and leaders go and start talking about the fact that nothing is going to change,
thank you.
Then you have lost it.
Let me drop in, Bernard. Yes.
Debal, I feel so sad when I sit amongst my seniors and have a conversation of hopelessness. In a sense that whatever we propose as members in African Parliamentarian Network Against Corruption, which we had a lot of deliberations and conversations with also experts of the levels of my seniors here. And we thought in our view that some of the radical proposals that we wanted to put across, that then people use it as leeways, that then you don't want us to enrich, you just want us to just recluse back and say, this is a hopeless thing, we just leave our country to just move in that direction. Just note that we are not isolated country. We are in a global village. There's a financial system that works across the country.
That's correct.
It has worked in other countries. We benchmark on other countries also to get the best. I don't dispute the fact that, yes, we do have some of these laws. But when you look at all of these proposals that were given by the president, they are so objective. They are so radical. Taking a case scenario that you are saying, that let's give mandates, not to several other institutions. Let's give focus, give it to EACC to do this. Or let's take a case scenario that you have not been able to define family, which was dropped. Because you may talk about me, but what happens that I don't do business, but I have my wife do the business, or my daughter, or somebody, my blood brother. All of these people now will be on the radar. That then any activity that is done where I have an influence, like in my CDF, if they come and do business, then they possibly create potential of conflict. When you look at all the proposals, I'm not able to, talk of the 12.
Yes.
They are all reasonable measures that we are saying, let us still continue to tighten avenues of corruption.
But aren't they duplications?
Well, no, not
Most of
really.
them?
You see, you cannot say they are duplications because they were not even existing. Some of those tightened things, like even you talk about the family, that the deeper fashion of family. All right, this one clearly enumerates all of those who are there, even dependents, even those you are sponsoring. All of it now was well thought out, not as it was before. So when we sit down and say these are proposals that we think are reasonable, and as I've told you, we came in as association of parliamentarians who are deliberate on one focus, that we are against corruption in our nation. We want to have a country, and of course we are legislators. So one of the things that we do is create laws that then hopefully will be able to, in one way or another, fight this corruption. And as I said, we are benchmarking on the international platform. So I want to encourage, of course, these are my senior, and I have deep respects for how he's able to put that across. Mm-hmm. We are hoping, in fact, some of the things will be able to be addressed by some of these things. Is what we've been witnessing when I got into some of this leadership, something called budgeted corruption that happens so systemic. So yes, some of those things that we really want to look at, how can they be dismantled? Mm-hmm. That is so much for that. And say, I do support some of these radical proposals that the president has been able to send to Parliament. Yep. And as it were, it has
good proposal. But we know that enforcement and implementation in this country is a different kettle of fish altogether.
Precisely, yes. That is why we are now.
You have all these good policies, good acts, but when it comes now to implementing them, that has not actually seen the light of day.
Precisely.
That's what we handle. What will make this particular bill? So even if the president now has taken it back to Senate, and we have all this memorandum.
Let me just say something small, and
yes,
I'll leave you with it. I'm a pediatrician, and I do a little bit of child development. Children don't do what you say. Children do what you do.
What they see.
I'm done.
And then one more other thing.
Yeah. Let me try it. Go and try it in your own house.
Not executing your children with monkeys. Monkey see, monkey do.
Let me also say a small thing.
Yeah.
Let
me just come to senior counsel.
Let me tell my good friend Kitur, because I can see he's very optimistic that we are going to open a new chapter on the war against corruption.
Isn't that good?
And
this is the pie in the sky optimism that we need in this country.
You see, he's just told you that now, for the first time, public officers will be forced to declare the gifts they receive. Is that what you said?
But not only that,
let me tell you,
a raft of it. Actually.
Let me tell you, if you read the law that was passed after Chapter 6 was entrenched in the Constitution, you can Google Section 14 of the Leadership and Integrity Act. Says very clearly that if you receive any gift beyond 20,000 shillings, you declare and register. It's supposed to be kept in that public office. And the enforcement agency is EACC. The same thing they have lifted and put in the new conflict of interest bill. And that's what Mheshimiwa is telling you, that now we have created a new law that is going to make it very tough for public officers. That law has been in our books since 2011, Mheshimiwa. So there is nothing new you are telling Kenyans, that now a new law has been created on receiving gifts. It is there. You have lifted it.
Yes.
You, word by word, lifted word by word. Put in the conflict of interest, then the country is being told. Because the heading has changed. We have removed leadership and integrity. Now we are saying conflict of interest law. Now things will be different. No. It is about the enforcement and what Dr. Nyikala has told you. You as a leader, show your people how you want them to live. That's what Kagame does in Rwanda.
Yeah, you take your ministers who are embroiled in corruption, you put them in the slumbers.
But even if you pass, already, if I read for you the laws we have, there are more than 8. Now we are going to have 9. The leading country in Africa with many anti-corruption laws, but the most corrupt.
So this is very antithetical in fighting corruption itself. So many, or maybe the laws are the ones which are exacerbating this act of corruption. Because everyone...
I am seeing just a bit, with great respect to Omogeni, yes, I can see on this aspect of reporting, but on the other bit, there was no definition of who are these. In this part, it has captured the family members, it has captured the relatives. In the definition now, in the other bit, it was just talking about the public officers. But on this other one, it has now been able to define further who are they.
So this is a matter of specificity.
Exactly. You see the best way to do it.
You allowed me to accept some word on
If you want to protect the cases in court, because Kenyans have a rights, I'm telling you, I'm on the studio here. You can write it down. The moment you repeal all those laws that the Senate singled out and listed, they say the ones that are existing in our statute books as offenses and on which people have been charged in courts of law, okay, and that are not being saved in this act, Kenyans are going to move to the High Court and say, look, this offense that I was charged under has since been repealed. It's no longer in the act that, purported to say that I committed an offense under that law. It's no longer there. And we drew the attention to the president and said, since these offenses are already in existence, and they are the same with the offenses you want to put in the other statute, leave them to be in the law books as they are, because we are not deleting the other acts, so that the cases that are in court can continue uninterrupted, unless we said there is a scheme to ensure that some people are set free. It could be possible. Maybe they are politically well aligned. The state wants them to be set free.
Thank you.
Otherwise, Dibal, why can't you, if we agree with Mheshimiwa that the definition in section 16 on relatives is not adequate,
yes.
why can't you bring an amendment to add the relatives in that list?
To enrich it.
To enrich it. That is the simplest thing. Even an attorney general who is sharp enough will tell you the best thing I'll do is let me enrich that offense so that I'm able to get more people netted for corruption and save the cases that are in court. I don't understand what is intended to be achieved by deleting those offenses with active cases in court without saving them in the new act.
So are you reading any dark underbelly on this?
Take it to the bank. Some guys, when this law was designed, there are some guys in court who are supposed to be left off the hook.
I mean, they didn't just realize.
Yeah.
I mean, do you want to tell me even an attorney general or the advisor to the president, and he has a number, they could not pick that very basic principle?
Do you know, let me say something.
Yes.
Let me say something. Do you know the most difficult argument? It's an argument where people actually have agreed, but are using different words. They are not agreeing on the words. Basically, if you look at it, we are agreeing. We are agreeing that these laws existed somewhere, and now, if we put a new law, we need to remove them. But he's saying that's okay, but there are people who now will not be charged. Probably I would have said, okay, did we need a transition clause that was preserved the cases in court?
It is not there.
Yes. These guys don't believe this thing. So please let me say what I have to say. This is what we said.
Brilliant. Just to add on to what Honorable Nyikali is saying, ambiguity, they now say it's the new truth.
No,
yeah? You hide everything in ambiguity.
These were the points that we raised, like the transition. We raised this. Let me tell you one thing. As far as you're sitting from me, less than that, I was in Philippines. And we talked, and Duarte was saying, let me do what I have to do. He threw people off helicopters and he did that. And then he said, afterwards, take me wherever you want. Charge me for whatever. I was in Philippines not that long ago. Duarte was walking around. Now Duarte has been taken to ICC. They don't care two hoots. He's not going to be charged. The point that we're saying is that there is no punishment, effective punishment. What's the term they use? If you go to China, my friend, and you're driving a bus and you kill some people, they don't even bother. It's not the political class, but the party that takes you. Within 3 days, you are charged. On the 4th day, you are taken to the stadium and you are Omamalizwa. So what we're telling you here is that our people, the other day today, I met somebody who was so arrogant. Because he was with Patni here and, you pushed Patni out of here and he went there. I was told him, Mara, if the president could give me unlimited powers, only for 1 week or 2 weeks, I would take these guys to the Uhuru Park and hang them. And be done with it. Then do with it as you want with me. I don't mind. No, that's what Jerry...
Yeah, sitting in the stadium.
I was mentioning that. Jerry Rawlings. I personally spoke to Jerry Rawlings on this issue. I personally talked to Jerry Rawlings on this issue. And he said, but did it not make the difference And I said, Jerry Lawrence, you're here. Did it not make the difference? The problem with us is we have these things about, let us do this thing with African characteristics, as he has said. Let's do it there, and let's not be dissuaded from it. I have not seen it too well with the transition clauses here or not, but I think it should have been there. If it's not, that may be something that you are discussing. I have no idea, but I want to say this. And because I've felt it. You cannot go to the United Nations and the other places and OECD and being told you are grey listed, get out of the way. You guys don't watch this. We are there. I was in Madrid the other day and we were talking about AI and corruption. And they told us, oh, you're African, this and that. Let me tell you one thing.
Let me correct Mheshimiwa. The international bodies will never be prescriptive. They cannot draft the conflict of interest law and tell you, now go to your country and enact this. They'll give you a statement like this. Ensure that in your jurisdiction you have adequate laws that deal with conflict of interest issues.
No, they give you details.
That will be the statement.
No, I've been on this thing. I've been with UNCAC. My brother, you're giving the wrong information. As a lawyer, you're very good in giving some information. Let us tell you, when in the United Nations Convention, we were even told how we had to do this. We did the beneficial interest. We did the STAR initiative, stolen asset recovery. It was diluted here, but they don't write the bill for you, but they give you all the points that we need to look at as they. And you know what they did? You know what the government of Kenya does before they go to this conference? We have what we call peer initiative. 1 week before, they go and meet at the London school, the government school or whatever, and the executives say, oh, they said this. Have we done it? Yeah, we have done it, so we tick it. We done it, we tick it. Then we get to the United Nations when you're presenting our case, and we are told that the executive is saying this, they have done, and we know for a fact it's not done. What are you going to do? Are you going to embarrass your own country? Do you understand what I'm saying? And that's where the position is.
Thank you.
Now,
right.
might finish, please, this one. This one I must finish. Why do the advocates and the lawyers are so stubborn about the issue of financial reporting of what is probably called illegal activity? Why? Why the chartered accountants, they've done it, the engineers have done it, everybody else has done it. They also have client accounts. Why is it only the lawyers? Because the lawyers have taken over Parliament and the lawyers have taken over Senate, and that's what they want to do, because these guys should not be even allowed to, under the conflict of interest, under conflict of interest, they should not even be allowed to go to the court. Under conflict of interest, they should not even be allowed to go to court. Orengo went to court. These guys should not be fighting cases in court when they are members of Parliament. They should be excluded from that.
It's a conflict of interest.
Of course.
Okay.
Dibal,
Let's say from Bernard.
You see,
Akili will come to you.
Yeah, I know Akili tends to want to take his position every now and then. This is my final remark, Dibal. I think I still want to say we are trying to close in the loose ends. All right? And I like what Dr. Nyakala said, that probably if there was something that we overlooked on the aspect of transitional clauses, that then if there are cases that are active in court, how can those cases still continue as these other ones comes on board? I think that's a very brilliant and a wise one. Yes. So in my view, I want Kenyans to know that this is not something in futility. It has happened in developed nations. We cannot remain backward and fighting everything and being so negative even for things that are meant for the good. In my view, and being in Parliament, I'll still champion matters in my young age, matters that I think will be able to put our country, for the future of the generation that is coming, on a better pedestal. Indeed. And of course, from the global stage, that will be seen and trying in every way and means to make sure you have laws that are tighten enough. As I said, most of these were, even when you see the memorandum of the president, most of those clauses is returning and said, can you still tighten here? It is not tight enough. Can you still do this? Bring a better definition of this and that and the other. put some of these activities, don't spread it. Let this institution function as such, and then maybe they expand even the functionalities and such matters as those. Generally, in my view, I still say I remain optimistic. I will not be a pessimist. In matters that we've done a lot of conferences, we've had so many experts come to talk to us. I will not join the bandwagon of my colleague, but I encourage them that hopefully when this thing comes to Senate, let them put the country ahead of them, patriotism ahead. And let's support also the leadership of our country that has desirous as it were. I agree that it all boils down to the leadership. Are they committed towards fighting corruption? And if they are showing that intent, then let us not be the ones again that still draw back the government that is trying to really put ahead a country that is free of corruption.
Senior Counsel, yeah, you're being challenged. Stop being a joy
I
quill
just
and
wanted
a
to
party
tell-
pooper.
to tell Mheshimiwa,
Yes.
I was in Doha in 2009 with the Honorable Muskari Kombo, I think who was occupying the position you're occupying now,
Yes.
discussing all these laws on corruption. I was also at that time doubling up as president of Law Society. And I remember it's in 2009, together with the chair of JLAC then, Abdikadir, we passed the Anti-Money Laundering Act, okay? I think it was called Prevention of Crime and Anti-Money Laundering Act,
Yes.
2009.
Yes.
So I don't see why there is this vitriol against lawyers. We have midway so many laws. We actually fought for the democracy we enjoy as lawyers. So you should even be thanking lawyers
You see,
before you start condemning.
this is what I'm saying.
You have the positive
No,
and the
the-
negative.
the God's
we were the
creation.
guys who
Yeah,
were
we
in
need
the
to
front line.
just give
And there is, there
our
is
closing remarks
nothing.
as well.
This statement you make that if Orengo goes to court, then there will be corruption in.
But it
it's
is.
neither here nor there.
It's conflict
But-
of interest.
You know why the House of Commons used to sit in the afternoon? It's because members of House of Commons, the majority used to be lawyers. They used to go to court in the morning, then they attend House of Commons in the afternoon. And they passed fantastic legislations. If you go to Congress, even today, lawyers are still allowed to practice. So even if you are looking for best international practices, the advanced jurisdictions
Thank
that
you.
have societies that are morally upright have no problem with lawyers. Let me conclude by saying, these laws that we are passing to, there is nothing new under the sun. Unless we announce accountability. You saw what happened in South Korea. A president just declared unconstitutionally a state of emergency, and he was forced to leave office. Yesterday, a new president, Lee, took oath of office because in that country, breaking a law is taken seriously. You know, if in this country you are put in the statute that we don't want people to be moving with cartons or boxes, we don't want you to withdraw over 1 million unless it's absolutely necessary. Let us respect that as leaders. Don't put that in the statute. You get money from sources we don't know. You appear in an Arambe, you donate 50 million. What do you think? How do those Kenyans look at you? The way Dibal told you, children watch what you do. You know, Kenyans are watching. They look at us and say, even as they talk about fighting corruption, what about their conduct? Unless we change the way we behave, okay, we enhance accountability, we respect the laws that we pass.
Thank you.
It will be the way Chief Justice put it. It will be hot air, nothing.
All right, it will be hot here. So unless there is a behavioral change, nothing will happen at the end of the day.
We are talking such
Briefly,
we are talking about such an important thing. Me, I know two things, which if you remove, this country will soar to great heights. Ethnicity, negative ethnicity, and corruption, and the linkage between them. It kills every fabric. First of all, it kills merit. Once you have killed merit, everything goes. Then it kills people's sense of responsibility and ownership. Once you kill sense of responsibility and ownership, people work in a place, but they don't mind even if the place dies. You know, so it's so important, so that we must keep talking and even making laws, even if there are many. Where I'll say as a senator is, even if we make many laws, we're repeating the same thing. It keeps the discussion, the debate going. But where the bigger debate should be, how do we conduct ourselves? That is the big thing that we must look at. Because, and the fact that there are many lawyers in legislation, it actually, to some extent, there's merit in it. You are doing legislation, making law, so a background in law helps. And you see many people come to parliament and after a time they go and study law. Because you find even understanding the process is better if you are a lawyer. But again, if you look at our constitution, the way it was done, it actually gave provision in many cases to lawyers. But I have no problem with that. It's if we do our things right.
Thank you.
But there's one example that he has kept saying that I think we should look at. You know, it is not only in legislation that the country don't believe us. Even the young men that are here with us, when we leave, they'll be talking differently. What do we do? Like this thing of money in bags, in functions. You know, we are flying all over with helicopters.
Yes.
And then we are telling people
It's a tool
there
of
is,
trade.
there is no money. Kids can't go to university because there is no money. The fiscal space is tight. Do they believe us?
Yeah.
Now, there was a case, was it in Limuru, where a child died? And the guy was crying with the child in his hands and saying, my child is dying because there's no medicine. But
Right.
our leaders are flying in choppers.
All right.
We must do what we say, or at least try to.
Thank you. All right, you can see the queue is already there. My director just warning us, time to wind up. I want to thank you profoundly, all of you, for really making time to be here. I really do appreciate after a long, long day. I don't take it for granted. Dr. Nyikal, thank you as well. You were in the plenary and also you managed to make it in the pinch of time that you've been here. Thank you, Honorable Shekel Shabir, who is a Member of Parliament, Kisumu East. Thank you so much for coming through as well. Bernard Kitura, I really do appreciate just also having this conversation with you for the first time. We will have known and want to know what is happening in Nandi Hills as well with the issue of organ harvesting, and I know also something is happening in the committee.
Yes.
We shall be looking at this because I think that's a critical conversation as well. People of Nyamira, right? Senator Kongo Mogani, thank you so much. You crossing over to this other side of the tracks as well in Kiambu County, where there's fresh air. We really do appreciate it as well. I want to thank our viewers as well. Thank you for sticking out with us until this time. Thank you for your valued company. We always say here, of course, in essentials unity, in non-essentials liberty, in all things charity. Let us congregate around things which are essential, and we die for that. If it's fighting for corruption in this country, let us slay this dragon. Let us not give up. We shall stanch the flow of corruption in this country one day. So it begins with the conflict of interest bill. Thank you very much. May you have a restorative night.